Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a rainy day today, and I hope that you are all dry, warm, and safe. Welcome to JBDC's Virtual Biz Zone. My name is Dana Bennett, your host for this session, and a very special welcome to our new participants and to our returning participants. I'm happy to have you here today, and I'm hoping that you'll definitely learn a bit more as we delve a bit deeper into today's topic. So this time slot is facilitated by the JBDC's Technical Services Department, responsible for assisting clients with their product development needs from concept to market. And we previously did developing your products for success part one a couple weeks ago, and we realized that we needed to provide you with just a bit more information, and so we're back today to give you some additional information on how you can develop the right products to be successful. And our presenter in the previous webinar is here today again, and he's none other than Mr. Colin Porter. And so our persons who were in part one would have been a bit more familiar with his profile, but if you're new, I will go through it for you. Okay, he's an innovative professional, with close to 3 decades of proven experience in manufacturing, logistics, and product development. He has a BSc in industrial engineering from the UWI, and he's an active member of the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, where he formerly served as vice president. He is also a registered engineer and board member of the Professional Engineers Registration Board, and also a member of the Industrial Engineering Advisory Committee. He is a part-time lecturer in product design at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts. And I don't know if he wants me to highlight this much, but I'm still going to mention also an avid photographer and visual designer. So, ladies and gentlemen, today's presenter, Mr. Colin Porter. And just before I hand over to Colin, we generally facilitate questions at the end of the presentation. So at that time, you can either click on the icon indicating that you want to raise your hand to ask a question, or you can type your question in the chat. Even during this presentation, if you want to type the question during the chat, you can do that, and we will definitely get to it at the appropriate time. So without any further delay, Colin, over to you.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and a very good afternoon to everybody. I hope everyone is keeping dry and not having too many leaks. Right now, we know this weather is really up on us, and let's hope for the best afterwards. We know it can be a little bit too much, but today I'm going to try and keep us focused and talk about something kind of pleasant in the grand scheme of things. Right, so as Dana mentioned, a few weeks ago, I was here discussing a little bit about, just some little steps and tips that you can take, or you should take really, to develop a product that will see some kind of success in the marketplace from a product development point of view. And so today, I want to kind of zero in on a couple areas which I think are important. There are so many aspects of product development, as we learned last week. So I'm going to start with a little bit of recap, not too much, so we don't waste so much time rehashing the previous presentation. But last time around, we went through a couple of things. We defined what product development is, and I'll remind you what it is after this. And we look at the reasons why we go through this process of product development. Why is it important that we do that and not just come up with a concept and create a product and put it out there on the shelf, right? So we went through the whole process, and I want to spend some more time on this part. How do I know what product to focus on and what product to produce? I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in some more details. We discussed the actual process of product development, literally from ideation to implementation and commercialization. We spoke a little bit about things from a production point of view. Without going into details, I described a couple models, whether you are manufacturing for yourself or you're doing contract manufacturing. And I just kind of touched the surface on packaging, and so on, right? Which really is another workshop presentation. So I will not get too much into that, and I did not get too much into it the last time around. So just again to recap, when we speak about product development, we're talking about a process which covers several areas. And here we're talking in the context of business as well, right? Last time I said developing a product has to be in alignment with the overall business strategy. What is it that you're intending to do, from a business point of view? So product development is about strategy, it is about organization, it is about generating some kind of concept, converting that concept into a product. It is about marketing, and it is about commercialization, right? So these are the components which are very critical for successful product development. So as I mentioned, this week now, we want to kind of look at one area which is very important. And as the saying goes, all things start from scratch. Not necessarily Lee Scratch Perry, one of our musical icons, who is so way out in his creativity that not everybody gets it. But so we're not going to talk about this scratch, but we're talking about starting from scratch with your idea. How do you generate ideas or identify ideas, what product to focus on? And this doesn't matter whether or not you are thinking about entering business and you're wondering what product I can make, or if you're already in business making products, supplying the market, but you may want to introduce some new products. And I'm talking about one aspect of the market research where you research and you try to find what is it that I need to satisfy. I'm going to talk from the perspective now of gleaning information from a consumer point of view, getting consumer trends, understanding what consumers are thinking, will be thinking, and so on. Now, we probably don't have any of these studies here locally in Jamaica, but internationally, there are several organizations who put out consumer trend reports on an annual basis. And I have screenshots of two, which I like to get them every year and go through them because they're very insightful. And they give you a snapshot on what to expect on consumer behavior, consumer patterns, and so on. The first one on the left of my screen is from an organization called Mintel. And Mintel has put out this trend report called Consumer Trends 2030, which is 10 years from now, right? 9 years from now, really, 2020 almost finished. But they break down stuff, and I'm just going to give a snapshot of some of the pages. I won't go into the full thing. I'll lead you to where you can actually get to download these documents. But they break down in different years, different periods, what they anticipate will be happening from a consumer point of view. Things that consumers will be doing and looking for, what our lifestyles will be, and so the products that possibly will we will find useful and attractive. And then there's another organization called Euromonitor International, and they put out a booklet every year as well, and they're focusing on 10 global consumer trends. And the important thing about this, these trends are really global. They look at perspectives from different regions of the world and go into things and discuss what these trends are. Now, these organizations, I should point out to you, also offer very targeted market data. The downside, they can be expensive. So if you want to get a trend report on non-alcoholic beverages, consumer trends for non-alcoholic beverages for the next 5 years, you can buy that from them. But you're probably going to have to shell out close to 2,000, if not more, US dollars, right? The good thing is that they make these reports available for free. Once you subscribe to their website, then you download the document as a PDF, and you're able to glean quite a bit of information. And I find these very useful because they speak to things that we can always use as guide. They will not tell you to make a specific product. They will give examples of what some people are doing out there, and you use it as a guide to um, give yourself some information in terms of what's possible. So for Mintel, they have identified these particular general trends. One trend is well-being, which is about seeking physical and mental wellness. So you can think about what some of the discussion around that will be, and you start thinking about products. Physical and mental well-being, you can think of everything from aromatherapy products, candles and soaps and lotions and scented oils and thing. Physical well-being can be literally anything. It can be a chair, it can be a pair of sandals that contributes to your physical wellness, right? So they go into stuff like this. They speak about surroundings, feeling connected to the external environment, technology, finding solutions through technology in the physical and digital world. And especially with what's happening right now in the world with the pandemic, technology is playing such a huge role. And it is somehow not just related to the technology itself, about creating a technological product, but how you can also use technology to enhance your product experience, whether it is through how you deliver the product to your target audience, whether it is how you communicate to them, with them, however you use technology in a way that enhances that overall customer experience. So that getting insight from the consumer trends also helps you to think of ways in which you can use your product, even if it doesn't abide by any particular one of these trends, but you can use and see how people behave to see how you can enhance that experience and get the product into their hands, right? And we see some other trends that they have identified there. And I think I'd pull a snapshot out of one page. This is on the well-being trend, where it is stated that greater awareness of environmental factors is creating demand for products that preemptively guard against these concerns. So they tell you what to expect in the year 2020. Convenient, non-obtrusive wellness solutions in the home, from water filtering and water saving shower heads to noiseless filtration fans. So they give you a clue what people are thinking or what kind of products they expect to see. Also, beauty and personal care products move away from improving or changing appearance and towards internal and external well-being. So this shifting notion of what beauty is, it's not about putting on makeup to look pretty, but how these products now help to build and enhance one's whole overall feeling, both internally and externally, right? There are products touting mental health benefits, and these are gaining traction, right? Here is one trend which we probably will not be very au fait with, but we can understand: widespread adoption of synthetic and lab-created ingredients, right? It says alcohol consumption will continue to decline among young people, with functional drinks increasing in popularity at a rapid pace. So little things like this can trigger you. Okay, so young people are consuming less alcohol. I didn't know that. So instead of trying to push an alcohol-based drink on the market, maybe I go for a non-alcoholic alternative. So it helps to open the mind like that, and so on. So this is just a page out of the Mintel report. You can get the report from their website, mintel.com. That's mintel.com. And just look for the trend report. You normally just have to fill out a simple form with your name and your email and so on, and they will send you a PDF copy of this. And I always encourage designers or anyone developing a product to try and get information here. Last time I spoke about market research and so on. And sometimes we think we have to go engage a big organization and pay them a whole bunch of money to do some market research. But there is some basic market research that we can do ourselves and get some really valuable information. And this is one source. And the other, which I won't go too deep in, but still mention because they're very good, Euromonitor International. And their website, you just Google Euromonitor International. I think they're euromonitorinternational.com. And again, you look for their reports, or you just Google trend reports for 2020 or whatever year with the name of the organization, and you will find it, right? But the 10 trends which Euromonitor had come up with include beyond human, catch me in seconds, frictionless mobility, inclusive for all, um, minding myself, multifunctional homes, private personalization, proudly local, going global, reuse revolutionaries. We want clean air everywhere. And I always give them some catchy names. And why I like to look at different ones is because these organizations approach it from different perspectives. And sometimes you'll see convergence, that they'll call the trends different things, but you'll see that there is some common thread with a lot of them, and they speak up, and you're able to glean some things and kind of validate what one says because the other one also says it, and give you some insight that you can use to further develop your product. So this is an important step for someone, as I mentioned, even if you're already in business and you have a product, you need to understand this because your product could have been one that you have been making for the last 5 years. I need to understand where it fits in and what people think about it now. And you can use the trends and tweak the product to meet that market need, right? And this is just, again, one snapshot page out of the Euromonitor report. And some of the headings on these pages talk about we are starting to embrace robots. We want flexible and personalized transportation. So you think about all the taxi services we have here. Recently, I've been browsing Twitter, and I can't remember the name, but someone right here in Jamaica, in Kingston, probably in particular, is starting a taxi cab service for women, operated by women. So they're going to have women drivers and only pick up women passengers because of some of the risks that some women face when they take a taxi driven by some men and they feel unsafe. So that is one form of what I would consider flexible and personalized transportation, right? We want more content in less time. That is part of the catch me in second. We know that. We're in an instantaneous world. We want it right now, the information, right? We want tailored experiences, but at what cost? So on some kind of private personalization, customization, you want something look different. Who can provide that, but at what cost? Premium type products and so on. So they go into a lot of this in detail and give you insight of what others are doing, what others are thinking, and you can use this to pick up on what it is that your product can do or you can do in putting out new products. Right. So you want to understand what insights can be gleaned from these trends, from these reports, right? How can I use these insights to inspire product or a range of products, right? Of course, reading that information, you're going to match it with the skills you have, the experience you have to find a solution that works for your particular market segment, right? So this is a tool that can enhance what you do. However, trend reports are good. They're wonderful. I love to read them and gain information from them, but not everything has to be driven by a trend. There are some products that kind of transcend trends. Trends will have some impact upon them, how you present them in terms of the colors you use and the type of finish and certain other characteristics of the product. But they may not be driven by some of these particular consumer trends. So don't now be alarmed that I have an idea for a product, but somehow I just can't fit it in one of these consumer trends. So that means the product not going to make no sense. You still have to do further research, further testing, get feedback from persons to find out, okay, does this product make sense or not? And how can I now tweak it and configure it in such a way that it will still be appealing to my audience? But it's always very good to understand what the prevailing trends are so that you can use that to further enhance your product. So now that you have gleaned all this information and you'd have gone through your thought process, and we spoke about in the past design thinking and techniques like brainstorming and stuff to narrow down on your offering and what you're going to present. What next? You have the idea. How do you now get to that product? It is critical, and we spoke about it in the product development process last time around, the various steps. After you have your concept and you fine tune that concept, then you move into an area which I consider very big. And unfortunately, not too many people do it or spend enough time on it. And that area is prototyping, right? What's the purpose? And even recently, I was listening to another product designer, and he was making a distinction between prototyping and modeling. And I'll get into that a little bit. But why do we need to have prototypes? What's the purpose? One, all that information that you have gleaned and put together and brainstormed and stuff, and you create an idea that I'm going to sell next best thing since sliced bread. You need a prototype to help you to validate that idea, right? To test the concept. Does it work in the way that I intended to work or not, right? It start to give me some idea of how manufacturable this item is. And when I say manufacturable, that you can make it at some kind of reasonable cost by materials which are available and using some production system that you have access to give it to the consumer, right? At a reasonable price at the end of the day, right? So prototyping helps to put a lot of questions or put answers to some questions that you may have and concerns you may have. So how does one go about prototyping? For me, the idea moves from the brain onto some physical realm. I always tell people it's good regardless of what you're doing, even if you're doing a food-based product or aromatherapy product, have a book. It may not be a sketchbook, but put down your ideas in a book. Put it down on paper so you can always refer back to it, think about it, and build upon your idea. Look for images and other forms of inspiration around you and collect those. Create your storyboard, your mood board, whatever you want to call it, right? The image you're seeing here is actually from one of my sketchbooks, and I want to make a lamp. So I started just doing all kinds of sketches, and then I'll go on Pinterest and I'll go all over the place and I look at stores that sell lamps of the type that I want, and I see what they do and how they do it. And I'm inspired by it. I don't copy them, but I get inspiration from them. Okay, the idea I had in mind was to have a floor lamp that can go over my head. So when I'm at home and doing Zoom, I have enough light around me. I don't want to buy one of them lights off Amazon that shine in my face, because I want to enhance my living room where I do Zoom meetings sometimes as well. So it don't look like I have a studio at home. And this could be a product that others can buy and put in their home, whether they're doing Zoom or not. So that's the inspiration. So you start sketching, you start looking at ideas, and you start figuring out things. How tall is this lamp going to be? What am I going to make it from? How will it do this? How will it do that? Where can I find the electrical parts to screw in the bulb and make the shade and things like that? Once I've done that, then how do I go about making it? And I kind of jump in a couple of steps here now, but you're going to document what kind of material, how you do it, what tools you're going to need to cut up if I'm making it from wood or metal, what tools will I need, what cut first, what cut second, what will up and screw up third, that type of thing. So you want to go through the process in your head of what it is and write down the first time you sketch this idea. It may not be the final solution, because you go to your bed and you wake up and you're watching something and it gives you another idea, and you turn over the page and make another sketch in the book. You change up some information. So this should become literally a habit. So whether you're making sandals or you're going to make some jam, right? Write down the formulation where you think what ingredients you want in the jam and so on. So when you go in the kitchen, you can start fine tuning on that, right? Sandals, think about the colors, what kind of material you're going to use, the shape, you start looking on people's foot, right? A lot of people make sandals, but I don't know how much of them know about feet. People with high insoles, people with or instep rather, people with low instep, people who have toes with issues, so the toes don't feel comfortable when you slip the thing in between and all that kind of stuff. Start understanding feet and the people who go use a product, because it's not just cutting out a piece of thing that's shaped like a foot and you put it down, right? Start thinking about when you tie the straps around your ankle, how does that limit the mobility of your ankle, right? So you want to do things like that, write it down in your sketchbook for future reference. Then you get to the exciting part of prototyping that I like, which is now making it for the first time. So you're going to transform your idea into something tangible, right? And there are several things you want to consider when making your product. One, it can be from any kind of material, because you're just testing your concept now. If it's an item that you may not have the type of material to make it full size, you can scale it. So the imagery I have here is of a couple chairs, right? With a chair, the other one I think is more like a display shelf. And it's made from cardboard. So you don't have to go spend a whole lot of money on expensive material to make it. And you test the aesthetics of your design. Does it look good? How does it translate from paper into 3 dimensions? Right? How are the proportions? Right? So will it work? How many parts do I need to use to make up this item? Right? Now, things like 3D printing is becoming a whole lot more accessible and affordable now. So those of us who are inclined to use technology in that way, we can get a cheap 3D printer and start doing models to see how your thing work, right? And then now you use that model to create something, your final design from that. Making your prototype also helps you to fine tune the fabrication or the manufacturing process. Even if you're doing scaling and you're using cardboard and a stencil knife, you still now start thinking, okay, if I'm doing it from a real material like wood or plastic, what kind of tools do I need to cut it, to put it together, to assemble it, to paint it, etc. Start thinking about the equipment and the fabrication process at this point. How do you assemble it? What is the best sequence of assembly, right? When you're prototyping, this should also be the stage, depending on the product that you're doing, you start thinking about how am I going to package this product? What will it be packaged in? What information will go on the packaging, right? Will the packaging protect the product adequately? Will it allow the product to be displayed? Will it look attractive on a shelf? All these questions will come up and you start thinking about it from now. Because you may have to either go order some custom packaging, so you can start thinking about who you're going to find to create a packaging for you, or you shop around and you find some existing packaging that exists and say, I like this packaging. So maybe you can even tweak some of the aesthetics of my product to fit in the package. And that will save money, because I just buy the packaging off the shelf. I don't have to pay for no dye. I don't have to pay for any specialized custom shape for them to charge me a whole bunch of money to make packaging for. I can easily tweak my product to fit in a particular packaging, right? Again, depending on what the product is. Or I may find a packaging which was originally designed for one purpose, but I repurpose that packaging and use it, that will make my product stand out, right? So you want to start, so you don't ignore the packaging part that for too late. You want to start thinking about it from now. Prototyping will also allow you to think about what standards apply to my product. What should I adhere to? The Bureau of Standards, for example, can supply you with standards for a variety of things. I know they have for furniture. At one point, they had standards for soft toys. They have it for different type of food products and so on, right? So you want to ensure that your product adhere to the standards so that when you're making the final iteration and putting it on the shelf, then the authorities will not pull it from the shelf because there's some safety issue or some regulatory issue that makes the product unworthy for consumers. And then, of course, you want to test the prototype through having people engage with it, test the functionality of the product. Does it stand up to what I want it to do? Does it look the way I want it to look? Does it satisfy all that I have thought that this product is to do, and so on? How do people respond to it? Are they engaging, or are they a bit put off by the product? And then what can I do to tweak it? Because remember, your product at this stage, you should be able to go through, just like with the sketching stage where you have many sketches, you will be tweaking your prototype several times, right? So you tweak your product until you get it right. And this is important because you don't want to just skip this step and jump straight to production, straight to the market, and then the product don't perform too wonderfully and you wonder why people not buying my products. Because listen, and no matter how simple it is, it could be a wallet, a little leather wallet, right? Which is just a simple fold and made from a piece of leather. You still want to prototype the wallet before you go to market, because how the cards fit in there is very important. How many cards can I get in there? How the sewing is done, the stitching is done is important. So you really want to go through this no matter how simple your product. So never make the mistake and say, I'm just doing a simple little thing. I don't need to go through all of this. Years no me make wallet. So we don't need to do that. Incorrect. You still have to do it, right? Because a prototype, you instead of having it in the natural tanned color, you could do it in some bright colors, right? This one has a little Jamaica flag motif on it. That's part of the process that you have to test. How will people respond to that? How will I put on that flag color efficiently each time, and how does it impact my production cost? So once we have done that, then we also think about the type of materials that we have to, at our disposal to make our prototypes. Again, depending on what you make, you can find materials around the place. Cardboard, from what you have seen in the previous slide, is such an underrated product, especially for persons making these very hard three-dimensional kind of stuff sometimes. So whether they're making furniture or some craft item or some other object like that, cardboard can help to answer a lot of questions. So you don't spend money in the hardware buying lumber and plywood and these exotic materials to make a prototype that will only go and sit in a corner afterwards. Of course, there is textiles, there's a whole bunch. So if you're doing leather shoes, get a piece of old jeans that if that can work, and cut it up and test it, right? Same thing with the wallets. Use a piece of cardboard or some kind of coated cardboard like what we have the food thing in, so it gives the kind of sturdiness and so on. But there are two materials I want to introduce to you, which I find to be amazing. And ironically, I haven't really used them as yet myself, but I have something similar to it. This is something called blue tack, which is used, it is sold as something that you literally can pull off a small piece and tack it onto a wall to hang up something. Kind of works like a very low tack adhesive. But there are two, and you can mold it into shape, different shapes, and do things. So those of you who are making jewelry and bangles and stuff like that, you can use something like this. But the thing with blue tack, it doesn't harden or set. It's kind of like plasticine of our childhood days that we used to use, right? And you can do different things with it. But there are two materials which kind of work like this, but at the end of the day, it sets in a permanent shape. And I don't know if they sell them here in Jamaica, but they're very affordable. You can get them online. The first one is a product called Sugru, Sugru, which they call a moldable glue. And just like I'm doing with this with my hands, you can mold it, you can do things with it, you can form it into shapes, but the end part of the process is that you set it and retains that shape. And it has a rubbery type feel to it. And a lot of hobbyists use it to repair stuff also. So in this example on the left, the 1, 2, 3 steps, someone used it to repair the connection of their phone charger. So when it dries, you see the third step where it flexes over and bends like a rubber. You can use this now to mock up your prototypes, right? The second item is similar, but it comes more in pellets. It's called Instamorph. This particular brand is called Instamorph, right? And it's a moldable plastic. How it comes in pellets, what you do, you pour hot water on it, boiling water, then it melts. You remove it carefully out of the boiling water with a pair of tongs or something, allow it to cool a bit in the air, and then you mold it just like the previous one. And when it's fully cool, it retains the shape. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Instamorph, that item that you would make now, you can put it back in boiling water and get it back into a very soft state where you can mold it back into something else. So you can reuse it, right? I'm not sure if you can reuse Sugru. And as you see on Amazon, a 12-ounce package of Instamorph is only $18 US. Not very expensive in the grand scheme of things, right? So these are things that you can use to help to create your prototypes that you may want to test certain things, because some cardboard may not work. You don't want to use the final material that you may want to use. So these are some options that you can look at. So at the end of the day, when you have completed the prototyping process, you remember earlier I said with your sketchbook, you're going to write down everything. Well, once you have come up with your final product, then what you want to do is to document the final set of specifications. So after I've used my Sugru and some thread and other kind of things, and I've designed my pair of earrings, I am going to create a specification sheet of which I have a final rendering of what the product will look like. I have dimensions on it. In this particular case, they show the front, the partial side, and the back of the earring with all the dimensions. They list the materials and the amount of materials you have, including 300 meters of medium pink cotton embroidery thread to make the tassels. And you give a description of what the product is, right? In this case, they have suggested retail $35. You may not arrive at that point yet, but it's good if you arrive at that based on how much material and how long it took you to make the stuff and your other overheads and so on, you put it. Why is this important? Because as your business grows, you may take on people to assist you to make all these earrings. I don't want to be over everybody's shoulder each time and say, remember to cut the thing 52 millimeter by 15 millimeter. You provide them with a spec sheet and everybody is to make it exactly the same. And you have your quality control checks in place to ensure that everyone does it the same. Some spec sheet may have an additional thing, but we'll talk about that later on. We'll talk about standard operating procedures. And the spec sheet may differ from product to product and from person to person, But what's important is that you capture the critical details of the design of the product and the materials. Some people, instead of just saying medium pink cotton thread, will probably go and tell the Pantone code for the pink, right? If it's a seasonal thing and pink, this particular shade of pink is in this season. Because I don't want to just go buy pink thread and end up making 4 variations of pink, right? So when they send somebody to buy the thread, they don't just say pink, right? And you know, you're getting that. There is another one. The fashion industry uses spec sheets a lot as well. They give you sizing information. Some will give you construction details. So what the spec sheet should do is to allow you that a total stranger with some skills should be able to literally walk into your place, or you call them up and say, make 500 earrings for me. Here's the spec sheet. You don't need to tell them anything else. And what they deliver to you is exactly what you wanted. So spec sheets are very important. Even if it's you alone in the business and you alone going to make all the earrings, have the spec sheet, because you may not remember all the details each time you make the thing, and your product end up with variations which are not a feature of the product. If you're doing handmade products, there may be some variation, fine. But you still need some specifications to guide you on what your product look like. And you put these in a folder, you keep them safely, you laminate them if you have to preserve them, so you refer back to them each time. If you're doing food products, you would have your formulation sheet and your preparation instructions and so on. You also get that laminated so you know how much sugar go in the formulation, how much juice, how much water, etc., and so on. So it's very important that we document this information. I find that some of us as creatives don't like to document details each time. I would think that the variation, the creativity will just do any old thing and based on inspiration. No, we're doing this as a business. Somebody like this particular earring, turquoise pink shell tassel statement earrings, it don't mean that you're going to make everybody who buy one must look different. People, there's a reason why people like it, so you want to make as many of that particular earring as possible. Now that you have passed the prototype stage and you have come up with the spec sheets and so on, then, you know, looking at manufacturing. And there are just some considerations. I just have some key bullet points here for us to discuss. We'll go into so much of them in detail. We have done a workshop on ergonomics before, and we can do one with a particular slanting to manufacturing down the road. But you want to look at your space now in which you're producing, whether you have a big 10,000 square foot factory or a little 10 square foot table cut up in your kitchen or your bedroom or wherever. That is your facility. And the flow in which you manufacture your item from raw material in to finished product out must be as streamlined as much as it can. So I want to look at the sequence of activities. What do I do first? Always try to think and get your sequence in a unidirectional flow. You start from point A over here, B, C, D, E, end to that side. Not go this way and then come back this way and go around and come back and out and confuse yourself. And you want to group your activities as well. Similar activities or activities that use similar tools or any kind of similarity that is important. So you want to do all your cutting at one point, right? So you're making the earrings and you're making it from plastic and you're making it from beads and you're making it from thread. All of these items need to be cut. So you probably want to group all your cutting equipment there. Your stencil blades or your X-Acto knife or your scissors, your electric cutters, your saw, whatever it is that you want to do any cutting function, you put that there, right? And I should point out that by this time too, you should have some templates to gauge and help you to mark out what you cut to ensure everything is cut at the same size as well, right? Then after you cut, your next thing probably will be a bit of sewing or some other process. You're doing some riveting or something. You do that next. Then you move to sewing, then to assembly, and then packaging and out, right? So the equipment placement goes with that suggestion of grouping your activities, but you also want to place your equipment in such a way that you have space around them, that you can do production unencumbered without any hindrances and so on. And very importantly is the matter of storage. Storage from the perspective of having adequate storage and storage for things done in a way that you can find them. So your threads must be in a particular area, but they must be sorted. So you're not rummaging through to find pink thread, but you can find it easily. So you think of the most appropriate container to keep your thread, that you can have them separate without being entangled and so on, and you can identify what you want each time. Label your storage containers so you know exactly what is in there, so you don't have to search through 10 different boxes to find what you want, right? Have storage at the appropriate place as well, so you don't have to get up and leave your workstation and go somewhere too far to try and find the thread, right? So you have to organize your space in such a way that will allow you to do these as efficiently as possible. Your equipment, try and understand, and prototyping should have helped you with this, to know what tools are appropriate. There are some general tools that can do a whole multiple set of functions and stuff, but then there are some specialized tools. So you can have scissors, and you can have scissors, and you can have scissors, I've learned. Find what scissors does what and what is appropriate for what, right? If you're doing a lot of cutting, you don't want a manual scissors that going to give your hands all kind of issues. Buy one of the electric cutters and just zoom and you go through. So you're thinking about the capacity or the output rate that you want. How many pieces of this do I need to make per day? And can the equipment adequately process that number and more, right? Goes without saying that you have to maintain your equipment, especially when you start having some sophisticated equipment now. Obviously, you want to have, and no matter how basic your thing, you think your setup is, you just have 2 sewing machines, you need to have a maintenance plan. Once every 3 months, I'll call someone in to clean the machine, or if I learn to do it myself and know how to clean the machine, how to adjust it, how to oil it up, so I can understand if something is going off and it's not sewing properly, then, you know, how do I ensure that the machine is always functioning as efficiently as possible? So you have a little checklist in place that the last time I serviced this machine was at this date, at this particular time, and this was what was done to it because it had a particular problem. So you can refer to that and know that, okay, in 6 months' time, exactly on this date, 6 months away, I will have to maintain a machine, right? So you want to do things like that with your equipment. Then there are other considerations that one has to look at. As I say, you could be working from a kitchen table. What ergonomic factors affect you? The lighting above your head. You're doing jewelry with a lot of fine beads. You need to have enough light that you can clearly see what you're doing. You don't strain your eyes. But again, you don't want the light to be too bright that it causes so much glare that it pains your eyes and fatigue sets in and you can't work as efficiently as you should be. How you place your tools, the location of your tools, that they're within reach, that they can be easily found, that they're properly marked, they're accessible, and so on, are important as well. The height of your work surface, whether you're standing or you're sitting, depending on what how you make your product, has to be in a way that you're as comfortable as possible, so you're not prone to any kind of back injuries or anything. Same thing that goes goes for your chair or your stool. So these are just some general things you want to look out for in your facility that will enable you to produce your product as best as possible. So I'm going to give everybody in here a little homework. And I'm assuming that everybody in here is making something or wants to make something. Go back to your facility or your workstation and evaluate how it is laid out. Does it meet any of these requirements that I've just laid out? If you realize you want help, then you call us at JBDC. I have a team of people who can help you to sort it out, and we get into some deeper things in terms of helping you to have that facility as efficiently as possible. So we can help you in that regard, but these are just some basic things. And there are so many more. I could go into lean manufacturing and 5S and techniques like that that can really help you to be even much more efficient. But that's why we're here, so give us a call. The other thing that you want to do, especially when you start making a new product or even an existing product and you want to improve the way how you do, just as you would have documented the specifications of the product, you also want to document your processes to manufacture a thing and other aspects of your business. So we talk about standard operating procedures, right? And there are many resources online that can help you to put together SOPs and so on. But for me, the importance of having SOPs is to ensure that you can maintain certain standards, certain quality standards. So we already spoke about standards. And here now I wanted to broaden standards, not just from what the BSJ says it should have, but what are your own standards within your business and for your product? What level of quality is accepted by me? What finish is accepted by me? What type of paint do I use? I'm not just going to walk in a store and buy paint. I've tested all of the paints out there, and I know that this particular paint made by this company is the one that I am using. Because when I paint it and I rub it down and sand it down and polish it down, I get the type of sheen and the brightness of the color comes out. So that's my standard, to use that paint. Don't use the other brand paint. Right? You have these on a checklist as well, or some other kind of quality criteria thing that you do for yourself to ensure that your products will meet the standards each time. And you have a set of references to say, this is what my wallet should look like. So this is my reference model. So everything coming out must look exactly like this. It must meet all the criteria that this one has, right? So to validate that checklist I have and all of the information that I want, we have that. It also applies to your manufacturing process. What is the standard? If I'm sanding down and I use 200 grade sandpaper, I must sand for 30 minutes to get the desired finish what I want. And I must sand it down with water, use wet sandpaper, so that I get the type of smoothness that I want. And I use this, and I check against what I'm making to ensure that the smoothness corresponds. Right? So you want to document that. Other things you may want to include in your SOPs, in addition to the steps of process from start to finish, is where do I get the inputs? Who are my suppliers? Why are they my suppliers? What do I get from them? So you have some consistency in when you're making a product, right? Who are the people I work with? Who maintains my machine? Because they know how the machine goes, right? Who do I buy leather from? Who do I buy glue from? What brand glue do I use? These things should become standard fill. You also want to document, import certain calculations, whether it's in the formulation, how long you do something for. You may realize that, okay, if I put the thing in the oven to bake, I'm doing ceramics, I need to do it for X time based on the square footage or something. but you need to have some technical information documented as well that affects the output of your product. And I mentioned earlier the use of templates and patterns for consistency. So these are some of the things that you do, but you document them in a way that they can be easily accessed by yourself or others, that they can be understood clearly, right? And these will form the basis of you doing production in a repetitive way, in a consistent way, that your product will always come out at that level that you desire, and that your customers and consumers will find appealing and will want to buy. Another important thing that we look at is we can't do it all ourselves sometimes. So find an expert, whoever the expert is, and whatever they're doing for us. You can find an expert to make the product for you after you've designed and made a prototype, because you're not the best woodworker there is. So let me find an expert woodworker and have them do it. Let me find someone who has a kitchen who can make my product for me. But the important thing is that because you own the product, you're going to have to give them a very detailed design brief or the set of product specifications that we mentioned. This is exactly how I want you to do it. These are my standards. These are my SOPs. So when you make the thing for me, I'm holding you against this quality. If you don't make it this way, then I'm not satisfied. I'm going to have to make it for me until I reach there. But of course, you have to try and find someone who you know has the ability to do it. Don't find somebody who, boy, them just do a thing and you help them out and you keep pressuring them trying to reach that stage of your quality standard, but they're not going to reach there. And it becomes contentious between you and them. Try and find somebody who is already at the level. This expert probably can help you now with their own experience to say, why don't do this instead, to tweak it and then we can improve it like that. So it works two ways. So they're helping you in not just making the product for you, or helping you, even advising you. Even if you're making products yourself, they can advise you how you can tweak it and how to improve it so that your product becomes a lot better, more efficient in terms of how you make it and so on. And of course, can't emphasize too much, do your quality checks, especially if you're outsourcing and somebody's doing it for you. Have a quality check that you hold them to and ensure that they meet these quality standards. So these are some of the things that you want to do. If you abide by these steps, if you follow these guidelines, you add more to them, then you add your packaging. I didn't speak anything about packaging today because that's a whole here by itself. Then I'm almost certain that you'll be able to come out with a product that meets the requirements. However, ensure that you include things like instructions of use or how to care the product. Something I don't see a lot in some local products. And of course, following on all the research and stuff that you meet, the product must be in alignment with your business and your brand strategy and your overall philosophy of what you're representing, so that the products are representing you in the fullest way without you having to be there to explain the product to people, but they will see it, they will understand it, they will know what your brand is about, they will know what your business is about, and they will support you. And this is a way to help build your brand and the expectations of your brand and what you have to offer. And go out there and conquer the world. And I'm a big Formula One fan, so I have to big up AMG Mercedes, who won 7 championships with Lewis Hamilton at the helm, who is on his way to become 7-time world champion, which is a very big thing in Formula One. And I know that we have many 7-time champions out there as well. So I thank you for listening to me this evening, and I'm now going to open up for questions.
All right, thank you, Colin. A very in-depth and informative presentation. Okay, let me see what's happening here. I'm seeing a couple comments. I am seeing where Jacinth Williams said recipe for food and method. Also from Marilyn White to everyone. Thanks, Team JBDC. I'm looking forward to seeing the replay on YouTube. And Angeline Carr is saying, thank you, Mr. Porter. Excellent presentation material. Very well presented and paced. Thanks, JBDC. I'm proud of my country and my fellow countrymen and women. And Veral Blake has said, awesome presentation.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for Colin? Okay, Nancy Hilton is saying, thank you, we'll go and do likewise.
Okay, Nancy.
Jennifer Jones is saying, great presentation, Mr. Porter. Thanks, JBDC. Okay, I'm seeing where Chandris Foster may have a question. Chandris, do you want to just go ahead and type your question? Yes, question, yes, here. Okay, let me check to see what's happening.
Right, while checking, I see Anika John is saying, thank you, and she is preparing to start prototyping her product this week, so this will be helpful. And if you want to reach out to us as well, Anika, for any guidance in developing that product, then we will see how best we can assist you, so feel free to reach out.
Okay, and I'm seeing where somebody has asked about accessing part 1. You can access part 1 via our YouTube channel, JBDC Jamaica. So you can go on YouTube and search for JBDC Jamaica, and you can like and subscribe to the page to get the necessary information on part 1. And we also have additional webinars that we have done over time since about April that you can access as well once you go on our page. So you can definitely access the previous webinar on our YouTube page, JBDC Jamaica, and this webinar will also be uploaded to that page as well.
And thank you, Marvia Reed. I'm glad that we give you some little bit of energy to start creating again. Well, I didn't know that you stopped creating. I know you're constantly creating, so good to hear that you're going to be creating even more.
Okay. All right. In the meantime, I'm seeing where Chandris is asking, my question is, what if you launch but need to do a relaunch? So I guess that is the question.
Okay. Right. And by launch, Chandris, I assume we mean a product, right? If you want to relaunch, the simplest analogy, right? The simplest analogy, and I'll go into it in depth afterwards, is like you put on some clothes and you go out, but you don't feel like the outfit are right. So you go back home and you look in the wardrobe and you think about, where am I going? What am I going to do at this place where I'm going? And you choose a different outfit rather, and you go. So if you already have launched, but you need to relaunch, again, it is not just about the product itself. Obviously, may want to do a little bit of tweaking of the product because you don't want to launch something that someone is already familiar with, but you want to look at it from a business and a marketing point of view. What is the purpose of the relaunch? What impact will it have, and how many more people will it bring to me, right? So it's a holistic approach you want to look. What are the features that my product is missing now that I can add to this relaunch? New and improved product, right? That it could be just how it looks in terms of the colors that you use on the product. It's a food product, maybe that you tweak the taste a little bit, you add a spicy version to it or something. You change the packaging, you tweak the label a bit, but you don't want to change the product so much that it becomes unrecognizable as your product, right? You want to ensure that there is some familiarity there. You want to think about your marketing strategy and your promotion strategy. Then you can think about relaunching. So you need to literally go back to the drawing board a bit, find out why the product not performing, do the tweaks to ensure it meets those requirements, and then you create a strategy to go back out there.
Okay, thank you very much, Colin, for that. We're getting a whole lot of
Oh yeah,
comments.
I'm seeing them.
Yeah, a whole lot.
Hilton is saying she's about to start again with Auntie Nancy pineapple ketchup, ketchup and pineapple barbecue sauce. I had gotten discouraged and stuff. Really, Nancy, you need to come talk to us.
Right. I'm seeing here where Marvia Reed is saying too, she's feeling empowered to start creating again.
Right. And I was telling Marvia that I didn't know that she had stopped. So it's good that she's even more empowered.
Okay.
Right. So Nancy, let me go to my next slide on the screen with my email address or social media links where you can find stuff. Reach out to us and we'll see how we can help you to get encouraged again, because those products sound very nice. Pineapple ketchup and pineapple barbecue sauce sound very nice to me. So let's talk and we'll see how we can help.
That's true, Colin. That sounds really interesting. Dwayne Stevens is saying, are there any strategies apart from rebranding to make an existing product appeal to a different market segment or existing target market?
Yes, Dwayne. And I spoke a little bit about that last week. So if you can say part one, but there are strategies other than just rebranding. And by rebranding, I assume you mean putting on a new packaging and so on. You have to again go back to the trends, consumer trends. Go back to your market. Who are you targeting originally with your product? See how you can add features to it. See if you can shift the kind of market category that you've been targeting. Make adjustments to the product to meet those, and then you go back to market. I'm trying to find an analogy quickly in my head, not really coming exactly, but if you think of, let me use this one. I'd use it in the first one, and since we're talking about barbecue sauce and stuff, pick a pepper. Everybody know pick a pepper, right? Pick a pepper started out with just one product, that pepper sauce. And then a lot of people started coming out with pepper sauces and stuff, but Pick a Pepper had already established itself in the marketplace as an icon and as one of the standards of pepper sauce. But in order to keep relevant, they started introducing different types of pepper sauce. So even though a lot of people have mango pepper sauce and stuff, they came out with their version of a mango and a couple other variations to widen their market appeal and so on. So you want to think about things like that, where you can have variations of your product to widen and target a different segment in the market.
Okay. Colin, I'm seeing where Chandris, she wanted a little bit more clarity, where she was saying she wanted information re-standardization, and she was talking about relaunching on everything from ground up, and she was dealing specifically with
standardize. Okay, so what it sounds like, Chandris, is that you literally need to go through the entire product development process from the beginning. So again, you can come and talk to us and we can share some more details on how we can take you back through that process with your existing product, and we see how we can tweak it to match all the requirements to get to that point. And it's cosmetics. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, it's cosmetics. And Jennifer Jones is asking, what type of help can JBDC give with packaging? This is right up our alley.
Right. So we can you can sit with one of our designers, Jennifer, and we look at the type of product that you have, and we can advise you as to the most appropriate packaging. We have designers who can help you to design the packaging solution or the labels or whatever is needed for packaging. So it's best to come in and sit with us with the product that you already have that you want to package, and we can give you the appropriate advice. Then Veral Blake is asking about photography. If one is doing photography, should the photographer prepare camera settings chart for various lighting or conditions? This you would have to do, Veral. as a photographer myself, you have to understand how lighting works and what type of effect you want from lighting, so that, and there are information, there are even apps available that can help you to adjust lighting depending on what ISO you're using, what shutter speed, aperture, etc. you're using, so that you can get the right combination of settings on the camera to get the best picture you want, right? So you pretty much don't even have to prepare your own. You can access a lot of that online now or through these apps that I mentioned.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Colin. Ingrid Coke is saying great information as usual, Colin.
Thank you, Ingrid.
And Sean Dries is also asking, do you offer marketing strategies?
Yes, through our marketing services unit. We do offer that. Now, JBDC, for those of you who may not be clients as yet, we offer a range of services from business strategy to product development to marketing. So we have departments that can help you in each. So if you call us, we'll put you onto the appropriate officers and take you through the system so that each area that you need help in can be addressed. And we can work on the marketing strategy for you, your business strategy, your product strategy, etc.
Okay, and I am seeing where, oh my God, our chat is actually going crazy today.
Oh, yeah.
I actually love that.
Marvia is saying, I am happy I have other skills, been using for cosmetology skills, wonderful.
But I am ready for some more creations, getting bored.
Marvia, well, I forgot to challenge you now. So, but
like,
you know,
she has been to several of our sessions or workshop sessions. So Marvia, I'm sure that you have a lot of skills that you can actually utilize in terms of developing a product or focusing on something in that regard.
Right. Jacinth Williams asking to write my email address. It's there on the slide, Jacinth. cport@jbdc.net.
Right. It's right on the screen.
Right.
And Wayne Stevens is saying thank you.
You're welcome. Nancy's asking, is there a WhatsApp number?
Right.
Porter, you mean my WhatsApp number, Nancy? Well, my work number is 577-3105. You can get me on WhatsApp there.
Okay.
Hopefully I can respond to it quickly. Sometimes I'm not able to respond to WhatsApp immediately or in a short time. She needs all of them. If you go, I don't remember all the numbers. If you go to our website, they should be there. The number that I remember here, and Dana can help me out. 758-3966-8.
Right. And okay, go ahead, finish, Colin.
And our Camp Road office is okay. They said we should send the numbers in the chat. So I don't know if you have them in your head, Dana. I can send them. So let me type the IRC one. So our incubator and resource
center. And for you're typing the 758, Colin?
Yeah.
Okay, we also have a Digicel number 618-0605.
618-0605. And that's Digicel.
Right. And for the general Camp Road numbers, it's 876-928-516125. So that's 928-516125. And it would be best to contact Camp Road if you have interest in getting additional information pertaining to general business advice and marketing strategies through our Things Jamaican stores.
Right. So now everyone has my numbers, our numbers.
Right. And I'm sure I've seen where I really loved, as I said, that the chat was blowing up today. And I'm not really sure if you have any additional questions because Colin's presentation was comprehensive. And I've seen where you have covered many of the areas that you may have been curious about. So if you have any additional questions, this is the last call to get in those questions right now.
I think we may have gotten in everything now.
Yeah. Well, in the interim, just to remind you, okay, Dwayne Stevens is saying, thanks, Colin, and the JBDC team. I will reach out and get further information.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne.
Right, so just to remind you in general that JBDC is here to provide business development support services to you, and the business advisory services, which is generally the first point of contact for clients, is there to help to guide you as well to move forward and to identify the needs that you may have just to be able to grow your business or develop appropriately. And whereas we may have different departments, definitely they will lead you in the correct area that you need support from. So please don't hesitate to contact us. Please remember that we are also on social media. We are on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. Don't forget our channel there, and you can just check us out. You can also send us an email at info@jbdc.net to get additional information on our services, and any question that you may have that you may not remember here today, you can just send us a question there and we'll try our best to assist you going forward. All right, Colin, I'm seeing where there are some more questions. Jacinth Williams is saying, I am a stone artist. I have to switch to sewing and baking since COVID. I need packaging information.
Okay, so just give us a call, Jacinth, like, you know.
Oh, okay, I just seen your response.
Right.
Okay.
And we will have a discussion with you and see how we can guide you.
Okay. And Nancy Hilton is saying, thank you again.
Thank you all.
All right, but so I think we can wrap up now, Colin, because if you have any additional questions, Colin has given his number. You can send him a message. You can speak to him directly, or you can contact JBDC about any additional queries that you may have going forward about your product or business and how you may grow them respectively.
Right,
So,
and if I don't get to answer my phone, it's not because I'm hiding, but there are times when it's difficult to answer it. But if you send me an email, then I'll sure to see it and be able to respond in time.
That's true, Colin, because it's probably best for them to send you an email because you're always in meetings.
That's
Ladies and gentlemen, he's
another
always in meetings. So it's really best to send him an email or a message if you want him to respond. So I think we can go ahead and wrap up, and I will just inform you as to what we will be looking at next week. Next week, we will be covering affordable gifting for the season product ideas, and that should be a very interesting one. The Christmas season is approaching, and all of us are looking for gift ideas, or not just gift ideas, but what can you sell, as people will be looking for gifts to give to their family members, friends, co-workers, and so on. So what products can you develop during this season that you may be able to earn additional cash or develop a full-fledged business from? And Colin has just laid the foundation as to the considerations that you need to bear in mind with developing your products for success. So don't forget to check out that session next week. As I said, affordable gifting for the season product ideas. So that should be a very interesting one for you. So, Colin, you have anything more you want to add, RC?
I'm just typing in the name of the two organizations where I got the training information from.
Okay.
Intel.com and EuroMonitorInternational.com. Or you can just Google the names Mintel or Euromonitor International, and you should be able to access those trend booklets, which I implore you to do. It has quite a bit of information, which if I were to focus on those two documents, it would be probably like a 4-hour webinar, believe me.
Oh.
You know, so they have quite a bit of information. So I implore you, regardless of what you're doing, baking, craft products, jewelry, cosmetology, there's something in there that can really trigger off some thoughts in your mind. So thank you again, everybody. Thank you for the feedback. And we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you here again or calling us for us to further support you. Thank you again.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, so we look forward to seeing you next week, the same time slot, 1 p.m. on a Tuesday. And until then, please take care of yourselves and be safe, be dry, be warm. Make sure you're protecting yourself from any of this COVID virus or so forth that may be out there. So please be safe until then. And we look forward to having you here with us next week. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you very much, Colin. It was a lot of information, but you condensed it perfectly. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So goodbye, ladies and gentlemen, until next week.